Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me under the Human Rights Tree. Today, I have the pleasure to welcome Miss Victoria Burton. Um, Lately, I have been working and writing on healthcare in our country. And one of the solutions I come up with, I believe that while we wait for our government to take care of our rights, we should, as an individual, do something about our health. And I believe Victoria is one of the person who symbolize that solution. Miss Victoria, thank you very much for joining me on the Human Rights Tree.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Before we start, can you just tell me a little bit about you, your background?
So my name is Victoria Boateng. I'm a self-autism advocate. I teach African drumming for people with disabilities and autism. I've been playing djembe for the past 9 years. I basically study at Old Town School of Folk Music under Michael Taylor. The djembe was I learned very late in my career. When I was younger, it took me a long time to find myself and find what I wanted to do. I always liked the music, and I always knew music was my path, but it was just a hard, time trying to find that. And then a high school administrator gave me a djembe as a gift for my graduation, and I used that djembe to, travel all over, college and different opportunities in Illinois and outside Illinois and stuff like that. But then with my autism, I basically did speech therapy when I was younger, but I didn't get a lot of the resources that I wanted to have as far as finding other parents with children with autism or go to social groups. It took me to like 2 years ago to find those type of resources, and those resources I had to find on my own. My parents was not equipped or technology savvy enough to send me to different social groups or different activities that people with autism was doing. So I had to find that on my own. So a lot of the experience I have went through over the years is just me having to figure stuff out on my own and not wait for somebody to do anything for me. All my life, I had people do stuff for me, but then I was being taken advantage of, and I decided to stand up for myself and say, I don't want people from the disability community to be taken advantage of or be used. So that's why I use African drumming as my way to heal from my past trauma and able to help others to find their independence and find what they want to do. So that's why I do the work that I do. I don't depend on government to help me out. I do a lot of connections. It's all about who you know and who knows you. So I use that type of theory to really put myself out there and to work on my social skills.
So, when did you realize you have autism, and what was the symptoms that qualify you on that category?
Well, with autism, one of the symptoms was speech delay. Basically, I couldn't talk. I was diagnosed with autism when I was 3 years old. I took speech therapy for at least a year and a half. And then after that, I was still learning how to talk. It's not like I was able to talk fully, but I was still able to learn how to talk. And then to around 7 years old, that's when I really started to find my voice and able to talk more with my autism. With the disability, I was in special education classes all the way to like sixth grade. Uh, but after that, I was basically on my own, had to figure stuff out, and I didn't really find the resource that I really wanted to have until later in my life, until 2 years ago. So one of the symptoms with autism is basically stimming, speech delay, social cues, not understanding what people are saying or comprehending what people are saying. Sometimes you will do like rocking the chair, like you bumping your head a lot, or flapping your fingers and stuff like that. So those are the kind of like the symptoms of autism or loss of contact. So people don't they don't look straight at you; they look far away somewhere else. So those are the symptoms of autism.
So, by having those symptoms, do you think it was quite easy to navigate or be understood by your environment? or by the society around you?
It was very difficult to be understood because autism was not talked about in our community. They refused to talk about it, and people didn't want to accept it at the time. And it takes us as self autism advocates to stand up for ourselves and to really tell our story and not let people tell it for us, but to able to open our mouths and say what we've been through because we're the one that's living through it, not the parents, not siblings, or not the community. It's us as individuals that's living with it. So the best thing to do is to tell your story through your own lens and not having somebody tell it for you.
So, can you tell us a few stories or one story in which you find it very challenging? Has a specific example that you want to share?
For one example, I would say mostly with my family. I was depending on them a lot to help me out with certain things, certain finances, taxes and stuff like that. And I feel like I wasn't getting the proper help. I feel like they was, trying to do everything for me and doing stuff behind my back without me knowing. And I didn't like that. So that really kind of, I lost trust in my, in that arena. And that's why I like to do stuff on my own because I don't want to ever have to depend on somebody else to do my work for me. I'm ready to do it myself. So those are the challenges and stuff for me. With and then finding a job, I had to find a job myself. My family did not help me find a job. I had to work hard to find a job to make a living for myself. My mom and dad, they're not equipped, they're not technology savvy to help you out certain places here and there. I had to work for that. So those are the challenges. Finding friends to depend on was very challenging. Asking people to hang out, and then they don't want to hang out with me, so I would hang out on my own because I didn't want to lose out on opportunities to live my life because I didn't have friends. I wasn't gonna make no excuses for that. Even if I didn't have friends, I still went out. If I had to go out on my own, it's so big. That means you meet other people, or you just be on your own and be okay with that. So I really had to, find my way through those arenas, finding friends, just finding jobs, and just trying to find opportunities for myself to grow.
So, despite the challenges, what I can hear that you were able to take care of yourself. You were able to say, "Look, I'm not going to wait the government or my parents or a friend to help me. I will take initiatives," and I am very fascinated about that. And I, I view your initiative based on your desire or willing to be independent, and you find a solution through drumming. Why drumming?
Uh, Drumming, it just came to me. Music was something I always loved to do. I was doing a little rapping, I was doing a little singing and drum set, but the African drumming thing was just a different atmosphere. It was a lot of healing with drumming, just about just finding yourself within yourself. And I feel like, I really wanted to reach out to people with disabilities because I feel like a lot of the activities that they have is limited. They feel like they're being rejected or they can't be a part of stuff. And I said that was enough of that. So I decided, since I was already teaching African drumming, that I wanted to teach people with autism or disability so I could relate to them more and tell them through my personal experience, but use African drumming as a way to heal and to express ourselves and find independence.
I know you teach drumming right now. You are a drum teacher. You go around helping people who have autism. But can you take us back in your journey? When did you start learning to play djembe?
I started to play djembe around 2013. Basically, at first I was doing drum set, and then the teacher told me you should study djembe more. He told me about classes at Old Town School for Music, and I took that, took that advice. But then after that, I lived in Florida for 6 months to work for Walt Disney, and I did my internship there. And after my internship, that's when I went to Old Town School for Music the fall of 2013 to study African drumming so I could get better. I always knew that I was, music was good for me, and I was, that was my arena. but I wanted to really study African drumming because the instrument was given to me. So it's a reason why the high school administrator gave me this instrument. So I wanted to use this instrument, to learn and to get better. So I went to Old Town School for Music to study at 2013, and I took classes. And then a year later or two, I joined Ayodele Drum and Dance, which is an all-female drum and dance company under Tasha Ayo Austin, and I was able to learn how to work with other people. Especially with me always being by myself, it was very new working with other people and learning how to get along with people. I had a difficult time my first couple of years with IDL because I wasn't used to working with a group. I was always used to, working by myself, doing stuff on my own. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, so I was just doing me. But then once I joined the group, it taught me about sisterhood. It taught me about growth. It taught me about getting along with others. It taught me, you have to be social with other people in order to, strive in life. So I learned a lot, going within that group. Yeah, I just, basically took classes from different master teachers like Boateng Kande, Mamadi Keita, and Bemba Bengora, Musa Tare. So these African drum teachers from Guinea, Mali, Ivory Coast, Senegal, I was able to study it and try to get better at it so that when I do teach people with autism and disabilities, they will be informative about African drumming and where it comes from, and also have fun while doing it.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the process of learning between the interaction, um, considering your situation, and you are new, you are not used to basically interacting with a group and things or interacting with certain teachers. How was it smooth, your interaction, your learning process, or was it a little bit challenging?
It
How
was
was the
challenging. It was challenging for me because like I said, I wasn't used to drumming with a group or being with a group. I was so used to staying to myself and being on my own, especially growing up not having friends, and I just didn't want to make I didn't want to make any excuses of why I couldn't do stuff. But with drumming, it kind of forces you to work with people. It forces you to understand unity and understand that you have to work together for a common goal and a common cause. So it took me a long time to get that.
Okay.
It took me a very long time because I was being stubborn, but at the same time, I was also just used to stay on my own. So it was just learning how to get along with people through drumming, and then also read people and how they feel too. So sometimes I won't even understand what they're going through, and I don't see that. But I had to learn when I'm teaching. I had to observe the student, observe that person, observe how they're gonna be. So it took me a while to get that, but I thank God for the training. I thank God for Taylor for giving me opportunities to teach more and to I was subbing him. That was like my training. I was subbing him on a regular. If he was out of town, he would ask me to sub for him. So that's how I was able to get my training and get my teaching in and stuff like that. And then performing wise, just learn how to work together. That was the biggest challenge for me, was just uh, getting along with others. Was the biggest challenge
Mm.
for me.
So through drumming, uh, you learn that it was not about just learning to play and
Right,
learning the instrument. It was more than that. It was a way of building a community. It
right,
was of building your social skills on
right.
dealing with other people around you. So when did you realize, when did you come up, well, I learned enough and it's time for me to go out there and teach? When was that moment?
That moment came in 2018 when Taylor basically was able to get in contact with Old Town School for Music for me to be a substitute teacher on a full-time basis and get paid for it. So that's when it started. And basically that journey of just, when you teach students, you have to adapt to any situation that you go to and you teach. So drumming is different levels. So not everybody's on the same level. So you have to learn how to adjust to different levels and keep them interested.
Can
That's
you
the key.
Can you share those levels for the people who don't know the
Okay,
levels and how you adjust
yes.
to different people? Can you give those specific?
So you have your beginner level, you have your intermediate level, and your advanced level. So
Okay.
beginner level, you're basically going through the basics of bass, tone, and slap, learn the different names of the drums, learn how to hit the drums in the right spot, learn how to memorize rhythms, knowing the ethnic group, knowing the meaning of it, and stuff like that. So those are beginning layers of just trying to get your sound to appear. It takes you years. It's all about repetition and practice. And it's up to that student to practice and put in the work. Because classroom, you only have an hour. So you don't have enough time to practice within that hour. It's up to the students to do it outside of the classroom and put in that work. So it's just, me just adapting to that myself and just putting in the work outside the classroom and studying and practicing over and over again. And knowing that, when you teach in a class, you have to understand that some students not able to learn quickly as others. So when you're doing a rhythm, I might do an easy rhythm, but this person might not able to get it. So we might have to break stuff down. But you also have other students that's more advanced. They can learn rhythms very quickly. So you have to keep them interested and say, you know what, I'll give you a part to play that you could be interested in while I'm working on this other student, trying to get him together. So it's just stuff like that. Just knowing that it's different levels. So it's not like you're in the sixth grade or seventh grade, they are on the same level. Everybody is different.
So what I learned from your what you're saying, it require to teach and learn. It require hard work. It
Yeah,
mean the class is part of the uh, uh, is the part of the journey, but outside the class, you have to dedicate yourself on your own craft
that's
by
right.
learning. And the other
Right.
thing also I'm learning is it require
Yeah.
understanding that people cannot learn in the same level,
Right.
and they are you have few students that are better in certain parts or for certain
Right.
tradition than other. And I think this is quite interesting. But knowing you, after learning how to play drum, uh, you have been involved on playing in different groups and playing with different people. How that thing help you grow as a professional djembe player?
It helped me tremendously because I learned that you have to get along with others. It doesn't matter if you're talented or not. You have to learn to get along with others. You have to learn about being punctual for events. You have to learn, the rhythm or learn the song. You have to learn how to lower your drum because sometimes the djembe could be very loud. So you have to learn when to play loud and when to turn it back down. So just those type of levels. We work with different groups in that arena. When you're doing drum and dance, you know, you can play, as loud because it's nobody singing. So you can play within a right tempo and just go with that. But when you work with other singers and rappers or other musicians, you have to adapt to their type of level as well. So
I see.
it prepared me to just able to adapt to different genres of music and knowing when to step back.
I see. So I think that thing art, um, you learn more by working with different people, different singers in different group. But you told me that you have been working with a group of women who who have been kind of playing djembe. In many traditions, women, I believe, are singers. They don't play djembe. So how is that dynamic, joining a group of women who are dedicated to breaking the barriers and playing djembe? How
Yeah,
is
I think society puts that type of limits on whether women can play djembe or not. Because in Africa, you know, you see women djembe players there, but
mm,
it's not really talked about. So basically, it's showing that women we could play. djembe, and we don't have to limit ourselves in what we could do. So being part of our female group in that sisterhood and learning that in the beginning it was a woman that was clapping their hands and singing songs in the village, and they use those songs and those rhythms with their hands, and they incorporated to the instrument. So the woman was the beginning of everything. So without the woman, we won't be hearing the rhythms that we hear today. So people need to realize that they start with the women clapping their hands and singing the songs of the rhythm and stuff like that, and using that rhythm into the actual part of the music. So that's very important to know. So that's why when people say women don't play djembe, that's false. Even the master drummers will tell you that it's false. Women do play djembe.
So what is your group name, those women group? What is the name, and when that group of women band was created?
Okay, so the name of the group is called Ayodele Drum and Dance. Ayodele. Ayodele means join a home in the Yoruba language in Nigeria. Ayodele started off in 2007. It was more like a study group of women, 7 women that were just coming together. They was part of Mutu dance theater at first, but the director Ayo, she felt like she wanted to do her own thing as far as women drummers because it wasn't enough women drummers. So she wanted to create a group. It was a study group at first, and then it grew to more than 20 women. So it started in 2007. They was basically saying that they wanted to learn how to play the rhythms for themselves. So when they teach dance class, they get able to play the rhythms for themselves. Because sometimes the drummers won't show up. So the women have to, learn the rhythms and learn how to play the djembe and learn how to play dundums, so that way they can continue with their classes. So it started with a study group, and then it kind of formed into a company afterwards.
I see. So do you perform around the city or on festivals a lot?
Yeah, I perform all over Chicago, the suburbs, Midwest, outside of Illinois, stuff like that.
So what makes you unique as a
Well,
uh, drumming group?
as a drumming group,
Yeah.
uh, well, it's not a lot of women djembe players. You see women drum set players, or women are playing, guitar or flute or saxophone. Because to African drummers, not too many of us that play djembe. So that's what makes us unique. In my end, I'm basically autistic, so it's not a lot of people that's autistic and play djembe either.
Mm.
So that's what sets me apart with me being autistic and playing djembe.
Uh, for being artistic, I learned that in some cases you are going through that population and teaching them to play drum
Right.
and creating a relationship with that community. How that goes?
So my thing is, I always wanted to teach people with disabilities for a long time. The
Mhm.
problem was just trying to find organizations to do it with. A friend of mine, Ia, she told me about an organization called Lee with Love. Lee with Love was a nonprofit organization. They basically do activities for people with autism and disabilities. So when she told me about that, I kind of researched Lee with Love, and then I kind of went on the social media and said, hey, I want to volunteer and teach African drumming for people with disabilities, and they was down with that. So that's how I started. It was basically just finding organizations to work with. So Lee with Love was my first one that I worked with. I was doing African drumming with them. And I said, you know what, I need more. So I found organizations like Divine Purpose Art Center. Karshida Washington was an autism mom. And I could relate more to that because she could understand people with disabilities. So I teach, at her space. Then I look for a Chicago-led autism organization with Kimberly Johnson. She's like the main one because she is full of resources. So just being around her, and then finding other organizations to work with, and just trying to bring everybody together, because we had all these organizations, and we all have the same mission, but drumming brings everybody together, and that was the main goal for me. Uh, with the African drumming was bringing everybody together. Whatever I had to travel to the north side or the south side, east side, west side, I wanted to bring everybody together. So that was my main goal.
So when you are teaching those kids that are facing the same obstacles, how easy is it, or how challenging it could be?
It,
It
it
can
could
be.
be it could be challenging, but one thing with African drumming, so when I teach people with disabilities, I'm not teaching them traditional stuff like that. I'm just breaking stuff parts. I break stuff down to the T, and I'll just work on that type of rhythm for a minute to see where their level is at first. So, I would teach them, certain parts. So like I would do like a bass part, like a boom, boom, tastes like chicken type of thing. Just to see where their level is at. And then I would go up from there. So when you teach people with disabilities, you have to be mindful that they might not understand stuff very quickly, or they might not be able to process stuff. So you have to break stuff down to the T.
So how do they see you? Because often I believe their interaction with people without disabilities. People without disability come and trying to teach them, but you represent, you are among them. You
Right.
are. So how do they view you? Are you a source of inspiration, or
Yes.
can you tell us a
Definitely.
little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely a source of inspiration. They see how independent I am, and that I'm doing stuff on my own. And that's one of the main things when it comes to disability or autism. They want independence. They want to be heard. They want to be able to do stuff on their own. They don't want people doing stuff for them. So for them to see me, to know that I'm autistic as well, I can relate more and better than some other person that just come in and teach people with disabilities. I have a personal story and an experience that I could tell, teach them about stuff that a regular person can't really do because they don't live with disability and they don't know what it's like. But with me, I know what it's like because I've been there. So it's about personal experience and being relatable to them and knowing that okay, hey, you got somebody that's autistic just like you, that has a disability just like you, that overcame obstacles and didn't make no excuses for them and able to to strive for greatness.
So your teaching process is not based um, only on the beating of the drum,
No, it's
on techniques, but you come with a message, and that
right,
message is independence.
right.
How do they perceive that message of being independent?
I think they perceive it very well. They see that okay, I could do what I want to do. I don't have to be limited by society or by what people have to say. That I could actually achieve my goals and achieve what I want to achieve. So they perceive it very well.
So how long you have been doing that kind of work?
That work I would say 2 years,
Mhm. So
and
go ahead.
we will continue to do that. This is
Mhm.
not some one and done type of thing. This is something that we want to grow. I want to go to different states and do this type of work and perform, and really show them African drumming.
I learn often when you are teaching students, there is an environment of giving and receiving.
Mm.
And through that process, by during these 2 years, teaching kids with disabilities, sharing your personal experience, and encouraging them to be independent and to depend on their own capacity. What did you learn from them?
I learned that they are just eager enough to learn, and they are eager enough to be on their own and be independent, and not allow people to get in their way. Uh, I learned that they are capable of learning rhythms as well. So I just think that society, really dap down and try to limit us and what we can't do. And I feel like teaching those classes, I learned that these people are capable of doing just anything they want to achieve. They are capable of learning African, drumming. They are able to know the names of the drums and know the names of the rhythms. They are capable of doing that.
So in our society, the individual should always strive for independence, is what I'm hearing from you. Despite the obstacles, despite historical barriers, we should always strive to be independent.
Right.
This is a very fascinating message I'm getting from you. So we have a few minutes left in our conversation, and I feel like I am very pleased meeting you as a person, and I'm very pleased also appreciating your way of thinking. What do you tell often to people who have tendency to view the disabled population as people that need always help? What do you tell them?
I tell them that uh, we are independent and we don't always need help, and we can do stuff on our own. Just allow us to do it and stop trying to limit us to what we can't do. Believe in us, and really try to, be patient with us too, because we learning and we growing at the same time. So that's what I would tell them.
So, what is the best way to vehicle that message for you? If somebody is dealing with you in the personal level, what is the best way to interact and allow you to show your independence? What is the best way?
The best way is just basically be patient. That's the best way. The best way is just be understanding, be compassionate, and show empathy as well. I think if people could start showing empathy and understanding and compassion in the world, we'll be a better place.
Understanding and compassion, we will be in a better place. Again, Miss Victoria, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate um, your allowing me to have such a beautiful conversation. But before I end, I will just give you the floor to say whatever you want to say before we close this conversation. Go ahead.
Okay. So for August 19th, we're having a party with a purpose with unique sweets. I will be teaching like a drum circle or drum workshop for people with autism and disabilities on Saturday, August 19th. That will be on the north side. You can go to uniquesweets.org to find more information about the event. I also will be teaching at Shady Oaks Camp August 17th. So I'm continuing to do the work with teaching people with disabilities. I would say be patient, be understanding, be compassionate, and let the child grow. Let the child or adult grow. Do not try to overbear them with a lot of stuff, and let them go through things. Allow them to be independent, and just continue to strive for greatness. Uh, Also, I'll be performing with Tuki Man as well. He's an Afrobeat singer from Senegal. So we have some events coming up very soon, and just keep it out update. You can follow me on Instagram, Victoria Djembe. Djembe spelled DJEMBE, and you can find all my work that I do with disabilities or autism on there as well.
Miss Victoria, again, thank you very much for joining me under the Human Rights Tree. It was a great pleasure having this conversation. Along the way, I will always reach out and check, to see how far the journey will take you. And through that, I will like also to learn more and have another conversation. So I can, get the opportunity to learn from you and your journey. Again, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
All right, see ya.
Oh, bye.